All right, here we are looking at absolute value functions. I love looking at absolute value and thinking about what's going to happen. So in this case, we're taking in all our x values, and what we're getting out is the absolute value of y. So if we think about this, we're taking any point, let me make a different color here, any point AB, and we're getting out the absolute value of b. So any point AB, our a values are going to stay the same. We didn't do anything to change the a values. What we're going to get out is the absolute value of b. So let's see what happens. Absolute value of 0 is 0, absolute value of 1 is 1, absolute value of 0 is 0, absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1, absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1. So in drawing this graph, this new graph, we took any part that was below the y-axis and reflected it, any part that was below the x-axis, we took and we reflected it over. Any part that was above the y-axis stayed the same. So reflect any part below x-axis over. This one, though, says that we're only going to put in positive values into our function. So then what we're going to get out are the positive values. So we can put in any x, but what comes out is the positive version. So we're putting in any a, but what's coming out is the b value is going to correspond to the positive a value. So let's think about that. And let's change it to purple. So this is what we're doing here. So we're putting in any a value but getting out the positive version for the y coordinate. So if I put in 2, 2 is positive, putting in positive 2 gives me 0. So I still get this point. Putting in positive 1, I get positive 1. Putting in 0, I still get 0. But now I put in negative 1, but what I get out is the value like I put in positive 1. So I put in positive 1, I get out a 1. Put in negative 1, I'm also going to get out a 1. Yeah, so it's like this y coordinate. So I have negative 1, f of 1 is the y coordinate. I put in negative 2, but what I get out is the y coordinate for positive 2. So this point gives me negative 2, f of 2. So what I have now is this. So in this case, I take the positive x values of the graph and reflect them over to the y values. So we reflect the right of the y-axis to the left, but the right side stays the same. So let's think about this in terms of functions. So for x greater than 0, we graph y equals f of x. But for x less than 0, we graph y equals f of f of negative x for the positive x values. Not sure that that makes sense, but this is what's happening. We take this side of the graph stays the same. So we graph the right side of the graph and do the exact same thing reflected to the other side. I'm not sure this makes sense, so I'm going to erase that part. But that's what we're talking about here. We'll look at more examples in class if that was confusing.